Hi, welcome to my channel. This week I'm going to be talking about tips for moms who are learning how to surf or wanting to learn how to surf. These are going to be things I wish I had learned or heard when I was first learning how to surf, and I wish they were as clearly laid out as they're going to be in this video. So let's get into it. The first struggle as a mom that comes up a lot is trying to find time to go surf and to practice surfing when you have your children. It can be hard with all the school or extracurricular activities or things that you have going on in your life to figure out when you have time to surf. A great way to learn how to surf is to bring your kids along and try to bring a friend or a trusted adult with you who you can have them watch your children while you're out surfing. And this doesn't have to be a long time that you're out surfing, but just a little practice here and there really helps a lot to make improvement. One way that I've been able to do this that's been so helpful is to have a group of moms who surf. Often there might be a group on Facebook or some kind of community forum or Instagram that you could find a group of moms that do a surf swap. And so the idea is that some of the moms go out and surf while the rest of the moms stay on the beach and watch the kids, and then you swap for however amount of time that you're going to swap for. And then the next group of ladies goes out in the water. And it's a great way for your children to be able to enjoy time outside and at the beach, and you to get some time to spend to yourself and doing something that you enjoy and connecting with nature. The next challenge that you'll face when you're learning how to surf as a mom is physical fitness. Especially if you're postpartum, you should definitely check with your midwife or your doctor before trying to do any kind of exercise to make sure that your body is ready for that kind of intense labor. And it's a good idea to try to maybe do some other exercises to build up that strength again for surfing, because your body has just delivered a baby, a beautiful, amazing baby, but it is often lacking some of the strength that it normally would have just had before having a baby, even if you weren't working out regularly. And so it's really helpful to try to do some strength training, gentle strength training, or balance training, or just even push-ups and sit-ups to help get your strength back up so that you'll be able to have more resilience when you're out in the water and paddling and trying to pop up. The next thing that can be very intimidating as a mom learning how to surf is managing fear of the waves, fear of the ocean. I personally really struggled a lot with this one. And one thing that really helps is to have someone go with you. At the very least, have someone go with you who will watch you from the beach, so you're not the only one there. If something goes wrong, best to just have someone at least watching you from the beach, or at least other surfers out in the lineup. But another really helpful thing when you're first beginning is to start with a spot that has small waves, and usually to start in the whitewash. And that gives you a lot more confidence of paddling into a wave and getting some of the extra push from the whitewash and getting practice popping up, because popping up is very foundational in learning how to surf. And if you don't learn how to pop up correctly, then you'll be trying to break bad habits later on down the road, which is way more difficult than just trying to do it right from the beginning. Something else that can really help a lot is if you're able to ask either a friend who knows how to surf, or even hire out an instructor for a session, just so that you can build up some confidence and learn the basics of surfing and know that you're doing it right, and maybe get some feedback on ways that you could improve. And this just really helps a lot, having someone who's knowledgeable out in the water with you, to feel like you're not just on your own trying to figure it out. Another thing that can be really difficult as a mom beginner surfer is learning how to paddle efficiently and effectively. Paddling is exhausting, and you spend the majority of your time that you're surfing paddling. And so it's really important, like I said before, to try to do some small, simple strength training, endurance training. Listen to your body, but it's really helpful to try to get your body used to having more stamina and also learning how to paddle efficiently. I have one of my videos that actually talks about paddling and how to paddle efficiently so that your strokes are powerful and moving you forward rather than just gently pushing the water and not really getting anywhere. You have to have very effective, deep strokes, and that'll get you far past out the waves when you're at the point of catching green waves, that you'll actually be able to get out back and start catching waves instead of being stuck, hit by the whitewash, trying to paddle out. Learning how to manage the lineup is a skill all on its own, and it can be really intimidating as a beginner to paddle out at crowded spots or places that have maybe hazards like rocks in the water. And that is why I would advise against going somewhere that is very crowded when you're learning how to surf, because you're just going to put yourself and others in danger of either you or them getting hit with a board. It's really important to make sure that you're staying out of the way of other surfers and not cutting them off. And I have a whole video dedicated, I will link it right above, dedicated to surf etiquette and learning how to conduct yourself in the lineup so that you make friends, not enemies, in the water. Sometimes as a mom, we feel like we have to spend all of our time pouring into our children, but we have to be able to pour back into ourselves so that we can pour into their cup. And this is where the mom guilt can come in sometimes when you're wanting to learn a new hobby or skill, and especially with surfing, there's some guilt that can come with that, but that is simply not true, and you should not be believing that thought, because it is really important for you as a mom to pour into your cup. And if surfing is the way you're going to be able to do that and learning that new skill, it's actually a benefit for everyone involved when you go to the beach, because if you can have an adult stay with your children while you're out in the water learning how to surf, then you're being able to fill your cup with surfing and your children are able to enjoy the beach. And children always have such a fun time. My son always has such a beautiful time at the beach, especially if he has friends or toys. He always has a blast, and we usually come home and both take a nap. Another big hurdle for moms that are trying to learn how to surf is figuring out all the gear and things that you need to pack in order to get yourself to the beach and not forget anything. And while this can seem daunting, you will forget all about the stress that you had about packing once you get to the beach, and you will be so glad that you went. And so I'm going to try to make this easy for you. In my video next week, I'm going to be talking about things that I pack for myself and for my son so that we have the best time at the beach and we're both happy by the end of the trip. But as far as some basic gear for you with learning how to surf, the first thing you'll need is a wetsuit. Especially in most places this time of year, you're going to need some kind of wetsuit to keep you warm out in the water. This can be secondhand. It doesn't have to be new. New wetsuits are very expensive, but often you can get secondhand or even sometimes new with tags on eBay or Craigslist, and that'll be more than enough for a solid wetsuit. You just want to make sure it fits you well and snug, because I made the mistake with my first wetsuit that I thought it was kind of snug. I felt like it'd be okay, but when you get in the water, your wetsuit will expand and it'll get a little looser, and so it's actually important that it feels not too tight, but almost a little too tight to move around in, because then it'll actually keep you warm and stick to your skin instead of just letting a bunch of water in, which is what happened with my first wetsuit. So don't be like me, don't make that mistake. Try to find a wetsuit that fits you well. And you could even go, you don't have to buy a wetsuit there, but you could go to a surf shop and try to figure out your sizes and then try to find it online later for a cheaper price. The other item you are going to need is a surfboard. The best board for a beginner is a soft top foam board, a long board. And this will give you the most amount of space for buoyancy and trying to have the balance to stand up and pop up and ride the wave. And it'll be so much less frustrating than if you go out and buy a short board. You should not be riding a short board as a beginner. It's just going to cause you more headache and ultimately leave you feeling discouraged about learning how to surf. So try to get something like a Wave Storm, or I have a Jerry Lopez that I got secondhand from, I think originally it was from Costco. So you can even get your surfboard secondhand. Just make sure it is watertight and that there's no dings or open holes, or try to repair them yourself or find someone who can repair them for you. And the other thing you'll need is a leash. You don't want to go surfing without a leash because you want to make sure your board will be attached to you. You don't want to be left stranded out in the lineup without your board. And also it keeps you and others safe from your board just flying around in the water if you wipe out. Sometimes as a mom, it's hard to try to navigate your time, and so we end up getting impatient with ourselves and when we're not learning how to do something as quickly as we hoped. But one thing to remember is surfing is hard, and I would say arguably one of the most difficult sports to progress with. But it is so rewarding when you do progress and when you learn and when you're able to catch real green waves. It is one of the most amazing feelings. You feel like you're flying on water. But that being said, it is a difficult sport to learn and to get into, and so you just have to be patient with yourself and to celebrate the little wins, and just remember to keep it fun and just try to be grateful for the time that you're out in the water, no matter how many waves you catch, even if it's just one or none. Just know that sometimes my biggest progress has come after a very difficult session. For some reason, the next session, I'll have an amazing session and learn so much. So just remember that when you're learning how to surf, that it will come in time, and you have to be patient with yourself and even sometimes with your body as a mother. Sometimes you can't do the things that you wished you could do or you used to be able to do, and just remember it will come in time and that you're doing great. All right, we are on the last thing, and I think this is one thing that goes along with a lot of the fear I was talking about earlier, and that is ocean awareness and being aware of the ocean. The ocean is intimidating and always changing. It's really important that you understand the dynamics of the ocean and how to conduct yourself in certain situations to keep yourself and others safe. So I have a video about surf safety and surf etiquette, and I will link it above. And this will help you be able to figure out how to navigate the water and understanding how to keep yourself safe out in the water. And in a lot of ways, the only way that you're going to learn a lot about the ocean is by being in it. And the best time to be in it, as I mentioned before, is when it is calm and peaceful and small waves as a beginner, because it gives you the opportunity to learn some of these things physically, to get your body to learn how to catch a wave, how to paddle out, where to paddle out. Some of that is best learned through experience. And if you're in a setting where the waves are calm and peaceful and small, then you'll be a lot more willing to try to paddle out and be able to learn how to navigate in the water, so that later on when you are in bigger waves, you won't feel so intimidated because you know what to do. So that's all I have for today for this video. I hope some of these tips were helpful for you. There are definitely things that I wish I had heard as a mom, and having someone who's another mom speak to me and tell me about these things, because it is a different road to be going down as a surfer and as a mom. There's struggles that you might have that other people who are not parents might not have. And so it's helpful sometimes to have a person who's gone through it, who's learned through their experiences, be able to give you some insight so that you don't have to make the same mistakes I did. If you liked the video, be sure to please like it down below. That helps me out a lot. And I'll hopefully see you next time in my next video, where I'll be going through the things that I pack for my son and I, so I make sure I don't forget anything for myself for surfing, and I also don't forget anything important for him to have the best time at the beach, like snacks or a wetsuit or warm clothes. So be sure to subscribe down below so you can stay tuned for when I put out that next video, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.